Okay, everyone, I think we're going to go ahead and kick off now. It's 12:32, and any late stragglers can just go ahead and join us as and when they're ready. I just wanted to welcome all of you, first of all, to the Orion Energy Accelerator webinar, where we're here to give you an overview of the Orion Energy Accelerator program, and then just take any questions that you might have about anything at all relating to the program. But before I get started, I just want to welcome Paul Duvall, who is a co-panelist and co-host with me. So Paul is the Director of Customer and Communications at Orion Energy Accelerator, at Orion Energy. And he is actually the instigator of the entire Orion Energy Accelerator, having come up with this opportunity last year. So it looks like we've got about 9 or so people on the call at the moment, and we'll probably be joined by others if there's anybody who misses it, obviously, and if there's any question that you miss, we're recording it as well, and we can submit that, put a recording of that onto the website, onto our LinkedIn and Facebook page as well. So I don't think I introduced myself, did I? So I'm Marian Johnson. I'm the Chief Exec at Ministry of Awesome. And if you don't know what Ministry of Awesome is, we're a startup organization. We run accelerators. We run an incubator called Founder Catalyst, which is one of the most prolific incubators in the country. And we work with high growth startup founders to try to develop them to their full potential and give them every chance of success. We were fortunate enough to work with Paul and the Orion team on the Orion Energy Accelerator last year, and we're excited to work together again this year. This is one of the most impactful programs that we have ever run. Last year's Orion Energy Accelerator, out of the 9 teams that were involved, 2 of them went to really successful capital raises. One of the organizations got a grant that has allowed them to create their energy sharing platform. And the rest of the cohort are still busy commercializing and achieving success with those commercializations. So the impact of this program is really quite intense. And we expect this program this year to be in the same ballpark. So I guess for starters, some kind of, an introduction to how you'll interact in the webinar. What I'm going to do is quickly give you a super fast overview on what the program is all about. And then Paul's going to take part as well in giving everyone a little bit of an overview of why Orion Energy is doing the program and an explanation of some of the themes that we're covering off in the program. And that should take us for about 10 minutes. And then it's 100% over to you because we want to answer your questions, obviously. We want to take away any kind of barriers that are stopping you from potentially putting an application in and just answer any kind of questions at all. So if that's all right with you, I think Mike has put some instructions on how to interact. So if you have a question or you want to make a comment, just raise your hand and we'll call on you. Or you can put your comments directly into the Q&A and we'll take them at the end after the presentation. So I'm going to start off by sharing my screen and I'm going to just give you a really quick overview. Okay, so basically the Orion Energy Accelerator is all about finding innovative clean energy solutions. And we're not bothered about what stage you're at in terms of your innovation. We just want to take that innovation from wherever you're developing it now into the accelerator and give you the best possible chance of success. So we're looking for all sorts of different things. And sometimes we don't even know exactly what we're looking for until we find it. If you could be a student, you might have come up with an idea when you met us a couple of weeks ago, last week when we came to campus. You could have been working on something for some time. You could be a researcher. You could be, someone working on an innovation in your garage. You're a startup founder. You could be an existing business owner where there's an innovation that has been created that you think might be worth pursuing, not necessarily as part of the business or maybe a spin out from the business. Basically, the net is cast wide. We're looking for anyone with an energy innovation that is worth exploring. So Paul, do you think you could talk a little bit about some of these themes here, because it may not be immediately evident what we mean by them?
Sure. Look, I think I'll just quickly also capture the little piece about Orion overall. So
Sure.
most of you will know that we are the energy distributor, electricity distributor throughout Canterbury, particularly in that central Canterbury area. We span from the Rakaia River in the south to the Waimakariri in the north, and land to Arthur's Pass and out to Banks Peninsula. And one of the things that we are acutely aware of and we are really focused on is that electricity will play a really significant part in decarbonising not only our own community, but actually Aotearoa New Zealand. And the two things we're most focused on are that decarbonisation and ensuring a just transition that doesn't leave any of our community behind as we make the transition to clean electricity. So the themes we've put together for this year, and I should just start out by saying, as Marion said, let's not get hung up on the themes. They're intended to stimulate some thinking. They're not intended to be boxes that you need to land yourself in. The future of energy at the moment, if you think of energy sources in New Zealand, there's a number of them. We think there's a really strong future for electricity to be the energy of choice in the future. So we're thinking about opportunities for development of energy solutions and what that might look like in the future. As I mentioned, we want to make sure that as we go through this transition, that we don't leave anybody behind. So looking at community energy and energy equity, so potentially community energy schemes and energy equity in our community is a priority for us. We all will be aware that transportation in New Zealand is a significant contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, and that's something we absolutely need to address from an Orion perspective. Not only is it cleaning up our own shop, which we're actively doing, but actually it's making sure that as these shifts come on, our network is capable of delivering the electricity that is needed for, in particular, that electric transportation. Decarbonising heat at the moment, process heat in particular, is a significant contributor to greenhouse emissions, and we're interested in ideas that help people make that shift and potentially use a future mode of heating using, as I said, that preferred electricity. Flexibility, so in the future, rather than thinking about a distribution network that is very much a one-way flow, actually we know that in the future there'll be a lot of smaller generation options available to us, and a lot of ability in the future for people to be able to control their load much more than they do today, where actually the greatest piece of load control across all our customers today is those customers that have hot water, and it's likely to be managed using ripple control bars. But in the future, there are a number of other options which we think will be of value to our community. Resilience and storage, as we shift to have a higher reliance on electricity as an energy source, resilience will be increasingly important, and so too will opportunities for storing energy, for being able to use them at the right time in conjunction with that flexibility I mentioned above. And lastly, and certainly not least, information and engagement. This is not something that we can do on our own. This is something we need to do with the community we serve and potentially with the broader industry that we're engaged in. So anything that helps us engage with those communities, take information from the community that can be useful in the way that we then feed back and serve that community, those tools are something we're particularly interested in too. Thanks, Marion.
So the next thing I wanted to talk about was who's running this program. So obviously, we've talked about Orion and Ministry of Awesome. There's a third partner that's actually a really important partner, and that's Callaghan Innovation. So I don't know how many of you are aware of Callaghan Innovation, but it's New Zealand's innovation organization. And essentially, they have a whole department that is dedicated to research and development around deep tech and frontier technology. in all sorts of different sectors. And one of the sectors is energy. So as part of this program, we'll be able to tap into some of that expertise from Callahan Innovation. But the other part of the partnership with Callahan Innovation is the fact that this accelerator is an official Callahan Innovation Accelerator. And what that means is that they are providing the $4,000 grant per team that might allow you to put some time aside to focus on the work that's required in the accelerator. And it also means that through Callahan Innovation, there will be some national profile that comes through taking part in this program. So the final partner that I wanted to chat about is Araake. So Araake is Aotearoa's Future Energy Center. It's located in Taranaki, and it's basically been established to accelerate the low emissions strategy and framework for New Zealand. Part of the work that we're going to be doing together in partnership with Araake is midway through the program. All of the startup founders and the startup program team are going to be meeting up with Araake at a location to be determined and meet the innovators from the Elemental program, which is a global energy accelerator. So that's going to be a really exciting opportunity to cross-pollinate, to meet some of the entrepreneurs of the future that are working in that sort of frontier innovation piece around energy, and to be one of those, one of those people yourselves. So a big question you might have is, well, what's in it for you? It's a world-class accelerator program. I told you about the results that we had last year. It's a 10-week program. We are completely focused on customer validation, which means understanding the market, understanding the opportunity, developing a go-to-market strategy, and basically overall commercialization. Most of the team members who took part in the accelerator last year were people who were not necessary commercialization people. They were more technology people, so they were the inventors. They weren't necessarily the business people. And so going through this accelerator for them was an incredible experience to really understand, how do you take an innovation product? How do you take an idea and create a business out of the idea? So if nothing else, one thing that you do learn throughout the program is exactly how to do that, how to take an idea and commercialize it through to market. The second piece is that we have some incredible startup founders who are startup coaches in this program. Everyone from Harrison Uffendell, who is a startup founder who's been involved in early Airbnb and is the COO, I think, of Partly, which is New Zealand's hottest startup at the moment, and multiple other people like Harrison are part of this program. So this is an opportunity to get one-on-one mentoring from leading lights around the country who are involved, not necessarily in the energy sector, but in the whole startup and innovation ecosystem of New Zealand. At the same time, you have immediate exposure to incredible industry leaders. One of the main reasons why this program was such a success last year is because Orion Energy was really serious about putting their effort where their mouth was and opening the doors of their organization and offering opportunities for their expertise to cross-pollinate with innovation that was right at the starting point. And that means that this is much more of an exercise of learning and collaboration with energy industry leaders than it is anything else. This is not about Orion Energy and Ministry of Awesome and Callahan Innovation, Araake doing some big marketing push. This is 100% where the rubber meets the road around innovation. You'll meet an incredible network. So some of the most important energy people are involved in this program, not just in New Zealand, but through the Elemental Accelerator in the world. And all of those key organizations are 100% behind this, not to mention all of the startup founders across New Zealand who are involved in the program. We also have another layer, which is called the Friends of the Accelerator, which are people who are active in the industry and have been active in the industry in a big way over a great deal of time. Again, an incredible network to get in with for your future, regardless of what your plans are and whether or not you take your startup all the way through to a successful finish. So This is truly a once in a lifetime opportunity to get your dream venture built alongside a dream team. So here's the dates. Today is the AMA webinar. On Sunday at midnight, our applications close. I don't know if any of you guys have had a chance to look at the application form yet. If you've registered for this, you've probably also registered for your application. And that registration was just your name, your email address, and your phone number, just in case the link went into your spam. You should have gotten a link for the application. The application itself is super simple. Really, the most important application is a Zoom video, and the Zoom video is just you talking to camera, saying what it is you're working on. We're not looking for any Hollywood lights. We just want, hi, my name is so-and-so. This is the problem that I'm trying to deal with. This is the solution that I've got for it. Here's why I think it's going to work, and here's why I want to be part of this program. So really, really simple, lo-fi. We are not looking for chapter and verse, really easy for you to do. So please get your applications in before midnight on the 25th of September, because we're going to start looking at them straight away on Monday. So the 18th of October is the kickoff boot camp. That's going to be taking place in Christchurch and in person. You'll come from wherever you are across New Zealand to Christchurch, and you'll spend one day really getting to know all those startup coaches, the mentors. When we talk about network, it's not network when you're on Zoom. You make your network when you meet people in person, and you start to develop a relationship with them. So this is your one chance to do that before we all go back to wherever we live, and the whole accelerator from then on goes online. Then there is the 17th of November, which is the Ake trimester boot camp. As I mentioned, that's also in person. So you're going to go to wherever that is. Ake has very generously budgeted flights, hotel accommodation, and so on for all of the members of the boot camp. So let's hope it's in PG, but it's probably not. And that's your opportunity to really hang out with your peers, but also get to know everybody else in the network all over again. Then on the 9th of December, just in time for all of the festivities with your family and friends, the holiday break begins. And we have a very civilized time off until the 10th of Feb, until we return again in January. Then the programming concludes on the 10th of Feb. And what that means is the accelerator is done, and you're really working from then on to prepare for the demo evening, which is in person again in Christchurch. And that is your opportunity to do a 5-minute pitch in front of the whole startup ecosystem of New Zealand. Last time we had almost all venture capital in the audience. We had angel investors. We had, I believe, Minister Woods or someone of Minister Woods's ilk doing a keynote. It's a pretty fantastic evening, and it's your opportunity to really show what you've done over the 10-week period. At the very end of it, we will award 2 grants, which total $30,000 to the 2 startups that we think really need to really have an opportunity that is worth exploring. And following that, we will continue to work with you. We might bring you into the Founder Catalyst Incubator here at Te Ohaka. So Founder Catalyst is a national and a virtual program, so it doesn't matter where you're located. And our goal is to take as many of you to a successful growth phase, first raise, and moving on from there. So that's it for me. And now I really would like to talk to you all and answer any questions that you've got. Find out a little bit more about what you might be working on. So have we got any questions for the panel? Please don't be shy. I'll take that one, Paul. Is that okay? So is the accelerator business to consumer focused? No, it's B2C, it's B2B, it's it's a D2C, direct to consumer, it's anything. It is basically energy innovation. I might give you some examples, and I'm probably gonna founder in the descriptions because I'm not an energy bod, but Paul, you can come running into my rescue. But I'll give you some examples from last year. One of the teams was called Solagri, and Solagri has created basically a way that farmers can put solar onto their land and have all of the benefits of solar without having to pay for it upfront. So that is that is one of the business models that was there. And I guess you would call that B2C, and that was direct to farmers. Another one was Empower Energy, which was a social enterprise, and Empower Energy basically created a platform whereby people who use solar could take their excess solar, and instead of selling it back to the grid for savings, they could then contribute it to charities that helped people who were suffering energy poverty. And that's one of the platforms that was actually built last year through the grant, and they're just going from strength to strength now. So that should give you an idea of, one of the teams was not particularly technical, but had a really good social enterprise in mind. The other was more somebody who worked a great deal in energy, but also understood the farmer problem in terms of converting farms to solar.
Yes, and it possibly could be something that actually just works on our network.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining in. It's Mike here. We have a question from Matthew. Matthew talking about, I've got an invention, but I have not got a patent. Can this be worked around? Do you have lawyers we can work with through the program? Also, it's in prototype, not a finished product as yet. So Matthew, that is absolutely fine. We can help you navigate the intellectual property landscape. We can also introduce you to experts in the legal field. In terms of prototyping, that is great. Some people may have a prototype, some people may just have an idea. We can work with you on that. We can help you refine that prototype. We can help you identify the key market and product market fit with that prototype. So yeah, it's definitely not a barrier given what you're saying there. So yep, hopefully that answers your question.
I think, sorry, related to that, I think one of the questions might have been, or could be as well, that people might be concerned about the confidentiality of the stuff that they're working on. All of the startup coaches, experts in residence, everyone involved in the program has signed an NDA with the program. And what that means is that everyone acknowledges that any kind of IP produced by the startup teams within the program is 100% belongs 100% to the startup founders themselves. So there are no concerns there. And with any accelerator, that's one of the main questions and concerns by startup founders will be something around IP. So hopefully that answers any concerns that anybody has here around that particular piece.
I've got one there, and it came up in a few of our roadshow sessions around the time commitment that people would be expected to make for this. And we're well aware that people work full-time roles. Sometimes this might be a side project or otherwise. And basically, we run, as Marion said, a 10-week program, and there is some expectation around some energy and commitment to that. It can be done remote, doesn't have to be done here in Christchurch. We welcome you to the Te Ohaka space here, the co-working space here, if you'd like. But basically, we are looking to offer a customised program with some key events each week, one of those being the startup stand-up and sprint session, where we help you plan the key tasks for that week and hold you accountable for those, unlock our network to help you achieve those tasks. During that week, there'll also be a masterclass, which is not compulsory but recommended, and that'll be one of our other experts in residence or key people. Will be things around market validation, intellectual property, product development, marketing, sales. We'll cover the whole kind of spectrum. And then at the end of the week, there's a retrospective to recap and check in with how the week went, and again, unblock any things that have gotten your way, and then that repeats again the following week. So you can do this remotely. We're fully open to that, and ultimately, the more you put in, the more you'll get out, and we'll certainly be pushing you. We'll be your accountability coaches. We'll be working closely with me and Zach. We have a huge pool of what we call friends of the Accelerator, which they're not mentors or startup coaches, but they're experts and specialists in their own field. So if there's a particular area that you feel you need support in, we can discuss that, and I can arrange a meetup with one of those friends of the Accelerator. We're working now to get all of these people listed on our website. So by the time the course, the Accelerator starts, we'll have that information. But yeah, so a little bit of information about the time commitment there. As Marion said, there's 3 key days in-person events. The rest of the time can be remote, or if you like, here in Canterbury.
Okay. Now, Tyler, you'd asked a question around a project that converts physical exercise. I mean, that sounds like a cool idea. I don't know how far you've gotten with it, but absolutely, this would, that would be a decent innovation. Are you thinking about whether or not you will enter, or you're asking us for some feedback on that idea? If so, Mike is typing a response to you now. I don't want to call anyone out or, share your idea without your permission. Now, Liam, did you want me to answer your question live? You're an existing business, and you're looking at putting in an application that is something to do with it's separate from your primary application. We absolutely encourage that, Liam. Absolutely. So as long as what you've got is an innovation, it's something new that you're thinking about doing, that is absolutely the kind of application we'd want to see as part of this accelerator. If you have any further questions for us and you'd like to deal with us on a one-on-one basis, feel free to contact us directly. You can contact us at marian@ministryofawesome.com, and that's Marian, M-A-R-I-A-N, at ministryofawesome.com, or you can contact Mike, our program manager, at mike@ministryofawesome.com. And honestly, no question is a dumb question. We're here to answer all of them. Now, Matthew, you also had a question. You are more than welcome to be part of a team. You're more than welcome to be on your own, whatever shape you're in at the moment. If we feel like you need to have a partner or a team member, we'll make it a little bit easier for you. We might even be able to help you find someone to work with you. There are a lot of students that we work alongside through our partnership with the Auto Institute of Canterbury, and they have a really strong engineering school here. We also have a pretty wide network amongst people who might be interested in joining your team if you wanted a team. Otherwise, just simply apply on your own. We're looking forward to seeing your application.
When we were out and about last week, you mentioned the 3 things that made up a good team.
Oh, right. Do you want to shall I say it, or do you want to?
Yeah, no, you go.
Okay. Yeah. So, so basically, there's a saying that a perfect startup team has a hipster, a hustler, and a hacker. And what that means is that you need to have one person on your team, and keep in mind, this can be one person, right? That person just has to have these key kind of characteristics and abilities. The first one is the hipster, and the hipster is responsible for making something that everybody wants, right? So that may be through the user experience, it might be through the designing, it may be through the positioning, whatever it is, that's the hipster's job. And then the hustler obviously is the salesperson. The hustler is the person who brings on board the partnerships. The hustler is the person who might bring on board the money, whether it's through sponsorships or partnerships or revenue. And then finally, there's the hacker, and the hacker is the person who is the builder, the person who is the creator and the innovator. And obviously, this is just a saying, and plus it has 3 H's, so it's alliterative and memorable, but it's kind of on point as well. So if you are part of a team, identifying yourselves in such a way might be useful. If you are looking at forming a team, finding which hats you like to wear and which hats you're really good at, and then looking at other people in terms of potential team members, fulfilling the rest of those roles is probably a useful kind of way of looking at it. Having said that, to the person who asked originally about whether or not they could make an application on their own, we're not saying you have to be part of a team. We encourage applications that are individual, but one thing that we do know is that high growth startups in general will be built more successfully, quickly, and painlessly by a team rather than an individual. So at some stage, we would always say to a founder, hey, you need to get yourself a good team, even if that means employees, original employees and people who you can really trust to take all of that decision making and be shoulder to shoulder, side by side while you build your venture.
But just to come back and answer the question, it does not necessarily have to be about electricity, because one of the things that we're very interested in is, I mentioned, making sure that in this transition to a decarbonised future, we don't leave people behind. And so if there was something in home heating that wasn't necessarily about electricity, but ensured that our community was in warmer, healthier homes, we'd be interested.
Another question coming. Matthew asking, will we need to bring prototype to the demo night, or is that a video, etc. presentation?
It's entirely,
yeah, it depends. It's kind of up to you. Matthew, there will be a format and there will be a structure to that, but that's something we can work together on throughout the program. Another question here, does the IP have to be something that can be protected, patented, trademarked, etc.? Not necessarily, and there's different ways of protecting your business idea through business models, through partnerships, through all sorts of different ways. You don't necessarily have to have a patent, a trademark, etc. for this to be worthy of you submitting an application. Any other questions out there, guys? Feel free.
I actually have a contribution just to follow up on that, Mike, is that I think it's really important that everybody understands we're not expecting you to have IP. We're not expecting you to have even blueprints. We're not expecting you to have a prototype. I mean, obviously, if you do have all of those things, awesome. That's great. You're ahead of the game. But essentially, when we talk about lean startup methodology, the more time you spend understanding your market, the more time you spend understanding the customer, and the more time you spend understanding the need before you build the darn thing, the better. And quite often, when startups get to a demo night, they will just have, something on, they will have a digital image, which is their prototype. They haven't made anything. So for example, if you are a hardware startup founder, you really and truly don't want to start building anything until you have really validated the customer, understood exactly what they're looking for, and then worked out whether or not your product is fit for purpose. But all you hardware people out there will already know that. But I think it just goes to that question of, do we have to have something to bring along on demo day? Answer, no, you don't. And it'll be horses for courses depending on what you're building, and we'll work with you on that.
And I think, Marion, it's worth just mentioning at this stage that one of the winners last year bought the least well-formed idea.
Always worth mentioning that, yeah. And in fact, the last Accelerator we ran, it was the same thing. So one of the teams that had put in an application last year couldn't really respond to all of the questions because it wasn't really quite there yet. But what we're looking for, number one, is capability, right? We're looking for a founder who has capability and who has a decent value proposition. What that means is that there's the glimmering of something awesome there that we feel like we can work with. It answers a specific problem, and that founder, doesn't believe in magic, like is someone who's capable, who is either able to build something or has a deep understanding of how something works, so can create it, or is just generally an inventor and someone trying to blaze a trail. As long as we have that capability, we can help you. So I think it's really instructive. As Paul said, one of the teams who applied last year couldn't answer most of the questions because they weren't there yet. By the time we got to the end of it, they're one of the winners of the grant. They have gotten incredibly far with their product and their venture. And it's been wonderful to see that happen. And then the last accelerator that we ran at Ministry of Awesome, which was the Electrify Accelerator, when we did the applications and then we did the interviews on the applications, which is part of this process as well, where we get to meet you and, you know, talk to you about what you're working on and what your hopes are. That person's innovation was not anything we were interested in, but we really liked her. And we really thought, now there's someone with some capability, and I bet you she has some more ideas. And we asked her, does she have anything else? She said she was fiddling around with something. Could we give her an extra week? We gave her an extra week, and she actually, she's the most exciting innovation that's come out of that accelerator, and she's being chased at the moment by some VCs. So the 10-week process is really interesting, and don't worry about where you're at now. You will very likely change, update, pivot as the process of learning and growing your venture as part of the accelerator. Any other thoughts? Pip, do you have anything that you'd like to add? Paul, anything you'd like to add?
Nothing further from me. Just
Okay,
to say thank you very much to those who joined today and came and had a conversation, and feel free to just reach out. If you want to connect with me, Mike and Marion know how to do that. So just liaise back through them. I'm happy to talk with anyone.
Awesome.
One more question there, actually, Marion.
Oh, wait, hang on.
So Liam asked a question, we're looking to manufacture our product, but it's likely that this will be prohibitively expensive to do so domestically. Is it problematic if we go offshore to do this? No, I don't believe so. Paul, do you have any comment on that?
No objections.
Okay.
No.
So Liam, to answer your question there, that isn't prohibitive at all. That's just part of doing business globally. This is manufacturing. If there isn't the manufacturing capability here, naturally you'd look elsewhere.
Awesome, team. Thanks so much, everybody, for taking part today. And I hope we've answered all of your questions.
If you have any others, just feel free to shoot them straight over to us. You have a myriad of addresses to choose from. The easiest one is probably mike@ministryofawesome.com. But if you forget that, it's marion@ministryofawesome.com. And if you forget that, it's info@ministryofawesome.com. And anything that we can shoot over to Paul will be happy to answer any of your questions. Just don't forget 25th of September. So that's midnight on Sunday. Get those apps in and yeah, get going. We're really looking forward to working with you all. So kia ora and have a good rest of your day.